Lance, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Really appreciate it. We turned up the heat in the building for you.
I can tell.
Yeah, it's very warm, and I apologize.
The good thing is that when black people get sheen, it looks good. So, just keep it up.
I wish I were black. I mean, I'm just going to sweat and look like crap.
Well,
you're going to look amazing.
But see, that's
unfair.
See, that's how God works in mysterious ways. Because white people look good dry. So it's
I do look amazing dry. Yeah. That is a well-known fact. What are we talking about? I like this interview already. This is good. So I want to talk a little bit about your earlier career. Mm-hmm. I know you've got new stuff that we're going to talk about, but maybe you hate bringing this up. Maybe you don't want me to talk about this, but I want to talk about The Wire a little bit.
Okay.
There's a very rabid fan base for The Wire. A lot of people say it's the greatest show, greatest drama ever put on television. So that must be cool to be part of that. But that character, your character in the show, is a character that seems to be, people seem to like you in this character, which is sort of kind of an asshole, like a little bit of an asshole, but just get shit done.
It's funny because I think Broyles is much more of an ass than at least for a season of Fringe.
And that's
in
a similar vein.
Paul Giamatti and I were buddies from drama school, and we were shooting the first season of Fringe. He and I were having lunch, and he was talking about it. The first season of Fringe was the very end, when the last season of The Wire aired, and that's when it really kind of blew up.
Right.
And we were shooting in New York, and it was the first time in my career that I just couldn't get down the street without being stopped. And I was talking to Paul about it, and he said, man, it's something about TV too, because because Paul's a movie star. But he said it wasn't until I did John Adams that I started getting that. And it's something about coming into people's living rooms, on a consistent basis. And it's not just that they see you often, but they see you as that person. I mean, I remember we were shooting the first season of Fringe, and the makeup artist, the head makeup person told me the story. She said that a couple of cops who were doing security, we were shooting in New York, and they were doing security. And they came to her and they said, man, that guy's a badass. And she looked around. She said, Lance? And
well, that's the character.
Yeah.
The character is. I mean, you have a history of playing badasses. Do you not think of yourself as a badass?
You mean in real life?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you get cast as a badass.
You ask my kids, they'll say no.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I always think, when you see somebody who's played, it's a kind of a gruff character.
Yeah.
I mean, I said an asshole, which is kind of insulting, I now realize. But it is a character who's kind of like, you could see how that's the character who kind of gets, in some ways, can get under people's skin on the show in a way that is very forceful. And it's a very specific role. It's kind of gruff, but then ends up being a really good guy. And I feel like that must be something that people see in you naturally, because you're so often in such a similar kind of role.
Well, but once again, the funny thing about it is, it wasn't until The Wire. Yeah. I mean, you remember, I auditioned for 3 different roles for The Wire, and that was the last. They didn't want to see me for Daniels at first.
Really?
I auditioned for Bunk 3 times.
That's so insane, because to imagine it as anybody else seems impossible.
Yeah, I auditioned for Bunk 3 times, and the 3rd time I went in, they wanted to see me for Bubbles.
Really?
Yeah, because in my 3rd audition, David Simon was there, and he had cast me as Marvin in The Corner, who's a crackhead. Okay. So he knew me as a crackhead. And I just played
a great crackhead.
And in Oz, I played an undercover cop, but a guy who gets addicted to heroin.
Right. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
By the way, spoiler alert, in case you're watching Oz.
Oh, well.
You know what? That shows it's been it's like a decade. I think there's got to be a statute of limitations.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
That's interesting. So it's crazy though, because you so perfectly embody that character. I mean, I think it's such a
playing Broyles after that that's when it was like, okay, I may be in danger of becoming typecast.
Yeah, I don't think it's typecasting though. I mean, I think that it's a role that's hard to play. I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of because you kind of have to it's almost like in some ways you think the guy's kind of a jerk, but then you sort of love him, and I think that's a fine line to walk. In my limited
I did feel that I had to really get into the guy's head, because it wasn't just a matter of saying the lines and acting feelings.
So obviously The Wire is a big deal for you, but then Fringe comes along. Was sci-fi something that you have an interest in naturally, or did you have to come around to the concept of doing something that was, because it really is, there is a pretty big difference in the tone between
And
like
the tone
something
of
like The
shows.
Wire, where like
Yeah.
it's like really gritty, really real,
Yeah.
and Fringe is obviously deals with
It's almost straightforward action adventure
yeah,
fantasy.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Was that something was sci-fi something that you loved to start with, or did you have to come around to it?
I mean, I will say I'm a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
Particularly, I have all 7 seasons of Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, Voyager, interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
And Captain Kirk, William Shatner's portrayal of Captain Kirk was one of my, growing up, I just always wanted to be him.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I...
Talk about like over-emoting. That's like one of those... Shatner is throws himself into the emotion.
Well, I mean, in all...
I'm dissing Shatner now. This is blowing my
Yeah.
chances of a Shatner interview.
Well, it's interesting because I feel that if you watch his work in the first season, there's really a lot of subtlety and nuance. I mean, he's mesmerizing to watch.
Right.
And I just think that, quite frankly, as iconic as that original series has become, once you got into the second and third seasons, it really kind of, a lot of the writing became more and more ridiculous.
Yeah. I think so. His character
Yeah.
kind of played to that. Yeah.
And when you're kind of being the guy mostly who carries the show, and do you know what I mean?
Right.
I just think he kind of fell into some habits that.
And he became more
Yeah.
like Kirk,
that
right?
almost-
Didn't
that-
he?
that almost became like a parody of himself.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, but at,
No, I guess
at
that's
the,
true.
At the beginning, I just feel like he was really. Do you know what I mean? I believe
Yeah,
that
I
guy
think
was
there
a
is
two-dimensional
more
character.
subtlety in general in the first season
Yeah.
of that show.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird to see how it did become. Well, I mean, look, once you establish the character and the place, then it's sort of easy to play inside of that. But it also gives you more rigidity to what you can do.
Yeah, and also it's the kind of thing where, and once again, I don't want to spend too much time trying to defend William Shatner's performance in Star Trek.
You really are a Shatner defender.
Well, no, it's. I'm just thinking about the difference in, say, The Wire, for example. I remember I can't say what show it was, but I went. I had a meeting at the end of the last season of The Wire. I started going on auditions for new pilots, and I went at this pilot audition, and one of the creators of the show was a big fan of my work, and he had been a showrunner on an HBO show, and now this was a network series. And he said, the difference between a show on HBO and a show on network is on HBO they hire you to do your show. On a network they hire you to do their show.
Right.
And I know, from the things that I've read about the original Star Trek, it was as groundbreaking as it was a constant fight to keep it just from being a Western in outer space.
Right. So, you've got a new thing, very new project that everybody's very excited about. White House
It's
Down.
funny. I was like, oh yeah, White House Down.
Yeah, White House. I was going to say, because there is this other thing to talk about. White House Down. Explain White House Down to me. Tell me what this movie's about. I mean, I think I know what it's about, but I want to hear from you.
Well, it's basically about terrorists attacking and it's successfully taking over the White House.
So just so crazy to hear it out loud.
Yeah.
Terrorists taking over the White House.
Yeah.
And
it's about kind of the Channing Tatum is the hero, and well, you can say two heroes, and Jamie Foxx plays the president,
Right.
and it almost
an awesome president.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the baddest ass president ever. And your character is
I play the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
okay. So you're a military dude.
Yes.
And
I'm basically the guy in the military who's in charge of the military
Right.
in this movie.
You've got the whole.
For some reason, it's given, but it's a little shaky. But for some reason, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is not around. So I'm the guy. I'm the
So
guy.
that's
in
how it
charge.
falls to you.
Yeah.
He's like on vacation.
Something like that.
Listen, I know you got to go. Thank you so much for doing this.
been
Really
my pleasure.
appreciate it.